Main point of contact for CBC. That's right. Washington, D.C. Arlington, Virginia.
Neighbors that the other.
Folks, if you have a phone, can you put it on airplane mode, please? Interferes with the mics. Annie, you gonna go first?
You said you were gonna call me.
You go.
I'll be easy.
I'll let you argue.
So that's where I have you.
It's almost 6 right now. It's 5:15.
Yeah, go ahead. We can set our clock so it's not slow. Like everything else.
That's been running slow lately, so. Leave it to an engineer to fix it.
He does what I do, but Jason.
Hi, folks. Welcome to the monthly sewer informational meeting. Thank you all for coming. The way we'll do this, oh, by the way, the public hearing for the phase 1 sewer assessment is at 7. But the way we do this, for those that have been here before, there's no time limit. It's very informal. It's, none of this 3-minute business. Ask all the questions you want. The only thing I do ask is that you go to the podium, hold the button down, then let it up, and it'll turn the microphone on. And ask your questions away. And I think Patty McCready's going to go first. Hold the microphone down to you. There you go.
My name is Penny McCready, and I was in to talk to Bob yesterday, and I think that the biggest question in here is, what is this gonna cost us? And not just vaguely, but we wanna know what it's gonna cost us. So he was nice enough to run off that sheet that you'll see that you have with your packet over there of the costs.
Penny, that's proposed.
Oh, proposed.
Proposed.
Okay, so. And so for the first year, we have one residence, one RU down here, and the annual cost will be $964.54, which is definitely reasonable, no problem. And then there is a quarterly charge of $110
Give or take.
proposed. And so I wanted to know how that comes out in our, how does it look like? What does it look like? We'll get a tax bill, and we got our tax bills in December 1st.
Mhm.
And so it'll have your regular tax, and then it'll have the $964.54 on there for phase one. And then you will get a quarterly bill from the township for the 100 and whatever, for quarterly
After you hook up.
after you hook up. And there is no initial, so that's all you have to pay. Except you have to have your system ready to be hooked up.
Correct.
So that leads me to some other questions. So that's the monthly cost, the hookup cost. So we got a bid, and I know it's high, but we got a bid from Darrow's, who works with Elmer's, for what it would cost for us, for our system, to get it prepared to hook into the sewer system. It was kind of shocking, but it was over the top. It was $30,000. Now that is thinking that we had to remove our mount system. Bob told me yesterday, we do not have to take our mount system out. Therefore, if we don't have to take our mount system out, we also don't have to take our landscaping out that comes around the street. So that saves, I mean, we've got these pine trees like you all do in our neighborhood that are big, and they would have had to come out. So that'll save a lot of money. And then there were a couple other things he had in there that we probably do not have to do. So I'm gonna ballpark.
Can I have a question for Mr. McCready?
No, nobody can hear you.
I got a hand, can I have a handicap?
Yes. Give him that microphone.
I got a handicap.
No problem.
I just push the button. Okay.
I just pushed it.
Is this the husband and wife duo?
Yes,
On the other hand, about the costs of connecting to the school. We're under the impression that the health department had jurisdiction with determination as to what you had to do. What you had to do to respect that. But now that it's a public service, they pass the buck on Eagle. Now Eagle determines, it's gonna determine, maybe I stand corrected, but this is what I get out of the head sanitarian. Steve, or Pat, the head sanitarian, in Detroit. I don't know.
Yeah,
Okay,
I can't remember.
he took over, what's his name?
Mike Kavner.
He took that. But he said, we have washed our hands, health wash our hands of all this. This is the connections of the people that are gonna hook up on post. It lies in the hands of, say you got a doctor, Mike Jankowski, or Haas, or somebody. Is that your contact, Bob?
I'll contact the engineer.
Well, anyway, so they have the jurisdictional determination to tell you what you have to do. I mean, because the two extremes could be like we wanted to go play the system. Make it nice. The other system is you could have your neighbor hook you up, and you could use unscheduled piping and all that stuff, and then that we be back with this. So I wanted to answer that so everybody understands that if they want to hook up, they got to go through it. Is that my correct? You're the engineer.
It sounds about right, but I was not the design engineer on this. I forgot.
Who is that, Stan?
Aaron and Brad are the owners of the company. Aaron was probably the
Okay.
hookup.
Anyway,
You have to do it to code.
You have to do it to code.
oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you can't just have a neighbor do it and you just hook in and then nobody knows what you're doing and it's just fly by night stuff. That okay?
Big problem. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I'm used to it.
Well, because we don't, when we get home, we don't talk about it. We talk about how long we're gonna live.
Okay, come on. Maybe not long.
So, so
Bada bing.
let's keep the humor in this whole project until Bobby can retire. He can't retire until he gets off. So basically, that's the information I have. And we'll know, as it's sad, the two things, sad things, that we got 200 hookups. We got a limited number of contractors that are qualified, that are certified. Maybe half a dozen, maybe a dozen. We searched to, we went to St. Ignace because I know the contractor, they're contracted in Elmhurst, and they know what to do. And, but anyway, so there's 200, so that's a problem. Everybody, all these 200 people, they're gonna be waiting. And then if the year's up and they're not hooked up, then there's gonna be a fine. You guys are gonna be collecting more money. No, I'm just pointing. You want me to be, well, you said, to bring up some deficits.
Yep.
Yeah. So maybe it's buyer beware. Anyway, then the other thing is, the role of Eagle to approve your contractor, how you're gonna hook up. And I think it's a sad case now because the Gaylord office, who had all the people, is closed. And there's one man that handles the Gaylord office now, Jankowski, he's in Gaylord. A lot of people retired. Half a dozen people retired. The guy that issued the permit, he's retired. So you want to, are you aware of that? Aaron's aware of that, but you
I have to check with him.
okay, because, if you don't make change, you're gonna be making changes on the system, I'm sure. If you can improve the system by, I'd say, $150,000, you're gonna get to get that's gonna change. So I've said enough.
All you need to do is crush. After you hook up, you crush and fill. And it has to be a 4-inch pipe to code, correct?
For gravity sewer, I believe it's 4-inch, but I can check.
No, Barrett told us last.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's 4-inch, so.
And I,
So you just crush and fill your septic. I got an estimate,
Septic tank.
the septic tank. I got an estimate, it was around 4,000 for me.
Now, also, you can do it yourself. Turn this up. You can do this yourself, but you have to pull a permit, and you have to notify the health department, and they have to be able to come out and inspect it, make sure everything's done. If you get a contractor, they will pull your permit for you, that'll be part of your cost, and they will call the health department, come out and inspect and make sure that it's all right. Just like if you got a new septic system, they're gonna come out and they're gonna check and make sure everything's all right, cross it off, say, yep, I checked it, looks good, you're out of here. That's what's gonna happen. So you can hire someone to do it, you can do it yourself, your neighbors can get together and have a barbecue and do it themselves, I don't care, but there's gotta be permits and there's gotta be phone calls made to make sure the inspection is done before you cover it up. That's normal procedure with anything like this. So it's not gonna be a fly-by-night type
How
of
much is the
situation.
permit? I just wondered.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Okay, we probably should find that out.
have I been misled? Or shall I question? Did I get cut off? I've been misled by the health department. They said they're washing the hands of it.
Well, I can't,
That's what, yeah.
I can't speak for what they said to you.
Yeah.
What I can speak to is what we've been told,
Okay.
and also experience. My mom just got a new septic system put in a year ago. And we live out by Eagles Nest Road, and the contractor came in and pulled the permit, did the work, had to wait for the Kyle to come from the health department and inspect it, and then she covered it up.
Good.
Took 2 days, done.
That's it. Was that an Eagle permit or a health? Health district?
It was through the county, so I'm not sure if it was an Eagle permit or what it did. Maybe they notify Eagle when they do this kind of thing, I don't know, but if
Yeah.
that's what we were told, that they pulled the permit, and that's part of your cost for your contractor, and they take responsibility for it at that. And each estimate will be a little bit different depending on the circumstances. If you have trees in the way, if you have landscaping, if you want a mound system taken out, you want your backyard back again, that's all gonna cost. That's between you and the contractor. And, you know, it all depends on your circumstances. Some people have 10 feet to the road and some people have 100 foot to the road.
But the
So
permit's
it's all-
gonna be the same cost.
The permit should be the same
Across the
cost,
board.
yes.
So a
Yeah.
lot of these costs are the same costs across the board.
Yeah.
So we can plan on that by knowing how much these things are.
If I remember right, my mom's permit, when she pulled for her septic system to be replaced, was like around $150 or something.
But that was what you said a couple of years ago.
Last year, last summer.
Well, who knows what it is now, it's worth. My point is that every one of us needs to get an idea what the cost is gonna be. And the other thing that I think you should know is, what's it gonna look like? You know, everybody thinks, oh, great, they're gonna come in and they're gonna put these lines in and it's gonna look great. Well, I asked Bob and I talked about it, and I went out in Erin and I walked the neighborhood last summer. And so I took pictures. He said, well, you have a pump station, and we're not quite sure. I live in the corner of Constance and Arthur, which if you're not real familiar with the system, it's not going to do you a lot of good. But we're right by Midway Islands. So we have 3 islands in front of us. There are going to be, 8 pumps out there? 7 pumps out there that are going to come from their property underneath the river. And then they're going to come across Arthur. And they have to, I believe this pump station has to be 100 feet from the river. Am I correct?
I don't know if that's a dimension, whatever's shown on the drawings, it should be accurate.
I thought that was,
Yeah, it's been a real cost back and forth with Aaron, you guys able to get the permit for this business approved. And I think it's 85 feet, and I guess they're gonna have to live with it. So that's, the
The
drawing,
Eagle permit is what the current final bid drawings were. So
right,
because we could put it in a lot better places, but because we have to be this far from the edge of the river, that puts it in John McDougal's driveway. But that's, I guess, something that we'll have to work out. It'll have to be somewhere in the easement there. But, so I wanted to know, just so, I don't know if any of you have thought about, what's this pump station? We're all gonna have it, okay? Everybody's gonna have a pump station somewhere around their house to look at. So I thought, well, maybe we should take a look at what they look like. And I brought pictures and I'll put them out for you. But there's one across from the post office. It's on the kitty corner across from the post office. And it isn't too horrible. It's about as big as from Sally to me. It has a circular round thing that's what are those circular things in the ground? They're maybe 3 feet?
manholes generally are 4 feet.
Okay, so we have a circular 4-foot round circle.
So, we'll do 5.
And then we have a piece of metal with meters on it that stands taller than I am. And is this wide, okay? So, and it has lights on it, I think. So I know that Aaron said to me, oh, don't worry about it. You can landscape around it. Well, we'll try. All I could think of is you could do something with yard art, paint it, and make it cute, but it's gonna be interesting. So I think that that's something that, my point to Bob was, I don't want people not knowing what is going to happen. I'm not against sewers. I just think it's better than going, well, nobody told me that was gonna happen.
Well, there's only a handful of the lift stations. They're not, every house doesn't have a lift station.
No, but in our neighborhood, there's one directly on the corner of our property, and then there's one on the other end of the street, because we are one of the areas that's so low.
Right.
So we kind of eat it on that, I guess, but it is what it
Okay,
is.
so there's a difference between a pump station and a grinder pump.
The grinder pumps, for the people that have a pressure sewer, there'll be a grinder pump at their house. And that's a little thing that's buried in next to the house. And there's a little panel that usually gets put on the house or right next to the house. That's a small thing. What she's talking about is a lift station, which has the electric service in that.
Okay.
And I want to say there's about 5 in each phase. So,
Well, I think maybe there's more, but there's one definitely
This,
on Arthur.
I'm sorry, I didn't even, but I can maybe help with it. I got involved in this, I was in Alabama, I got back, and I've been watching this, Aaron and I worked together for 2 years on this. But anyway, there's 5 on the drawing, 3 lift stations in phase 1. On this side of the river, there's 2 on the other side.
yeah, that's 5 in phase 1, and I think there's 4 in phase 2.
Yeah.
So a total of 9 over
Right, yeah.
all of those
But-
houses.
Yeah, they're located where Penny is in front of my house. There's one down at the beach, that handles all the stuff going down.
Right.
And then there's one at the fort at the saloon,
Kind of?
Miners, which is a good place.
Yeah, that's fine. That's
So
part
there's
of
one
our
there, and
goal,
then that handles all the gravity from this area down to these 3 lift stations, and it pumps back up to the main. I don't know if that clarifies it.
I was just real afraid that this is what we were gonna be looking at, because this is the one across from Burger King.
Let's see what she's doing. Can we see what you're,
That's the Burger King.
that's at
Burger-
Burger King, that's a generator and all kinds of things there.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
not
and
gonna
that-
be the same pack.
That's
That's
great.
not gonna be like that.
Be small.
Bob and I talked about it,
Yeah, I explained it to him.
but I just wanted to be sure that this is what we were gonna be looking at. So, and that brings up the other idea, the generators and the maintenance and, the cost of whatever that's gonna incur. So if something dire happens, if we have a power failure, what is going to happen about that? And Bob said, well, we bought extra generators and they will be available. And what we'll do is we'll put them on the truck that we just bought. And we'll go from spot to spot and pump the systems as they need to be pumped. Which, hope it all goes okay. Okay,
Well, that's what we do now. Before we got the big generator, we were already doing that.
well,
With this system here. And we bought additional generators to handle the extra workload if there was a massive power load. And so we've talked to our engineers, we've talked to our sewer maintenance people, and we've figured out the best way forward without overbuying or over purchasing, which something we may or may not ever use, and making sure we can use the system even if the power goes down on a temporary basis, 2-3 days tops type of thing, you know, and if not, we'll have to hire something else to come in and help us out. But the thing of it is, all the things they're talking about, and I do not discredit that. First of all, we've had numerous meetings about all of this. We've had slideshows, we've had meetings about it, we've had pictures circulated. We have been totally honest about all of this stuff from the beginning. And so,
I'm not accusing you of anything.
No, I
I'm just
know.
saying, these are, and I watched every meeting. So
Okay,
it's
thank
not like I haven't been around. So we weren't here, but we, obviously, because of McGinnis's great work, we have been able to watch every meeting. The other question that has come up among my neighbors when we talk about how is this drilling going to go? Now, you're going to underground drill, correct? For,
Where do you live? Oh, you're up by Constance and Arthur?
right,
Yeah, they'll be drilling out to the island there for that stuff. So they'll dig a hole on this side and they'll have to drill out, or they might drill back, but I think they're gonna drill out.
Horizontal drilling.
Right, that'd be underground and then,
Vertical drilling.
right. And then wherever there's gonna be a pump out there for each individual house, they'll dig a little pit there so they can make the connection
and then they'll go under the river.
under the river and underground until they pop up right by each house.
Okay.
And the reason I say that, it's up to them, the contractor, is how they're gonna do it. In talking with this contractor, they're a little leery of the bridge,
That would be,
the weight limits and that, so they're probably not gonna wanna get their drill over to the island. They're probably just gonna, Matt's is the contractor for that part of the job. So they're probably gonna drill from this side out to the island, but that's not, they haven't made the decision. They don't even have the contract yet, you know, it hasn't been awarded because it hasn't been approved yet.
so how do they know how much it's gonna cost?
They put a bid in based on all the design work.
So, but then we have to have a contingency in there someplace for overrides or emergency situations where you go, oh, this isn't gonna work, right?
Well, it was bid by quantities, so if they have to drill 150 feet of pipe to get to this particular location, that's what we pay them for. If they end up going 160 feet, we'll pay them 100 for 160 feet. We have a price per lineal foot of pipe. If it's 140 feet, we'll pay them less for that one.
What Penny's getting at is that, what Penny's getting at is, she's concerned about contingency overall. But we've got, excuse me. So, what we're talking about is just, do we have adequate contingency fund? And yes, we do, because USDA requires.
Okay. So then Aaron told me when he was out at our house last summer, he said, don't worry about any of the trees or landscaping, because we are going to drill from Witt to Arthur to pick up Dybel, Marshall, down the line. We're going to go under the street. Is that right?
Going under width.
No, Constance. And then on the drawings, however, it doesn't look that way. It looks like instead, they're going to drill along the water, along the distance between this narrow strip and the shoreline. And so I wondered which was right.
Penny, what you can do is what a lot of folks do when we have our engineers here afterwards. He's got the drawings right in his hand. And you can meet with him afterwards and go over the drawings if you like.
Okay.
And I think you had just one more question.
Yes, the other question was maintenance. I would like to see, obviously, that we have a department of sewer. Somebody who is trained to deal with the sewer when it's in. I mean, I think that any city has somebody who handles this. You're not gonna call Bob and say, hey, I got a problem.
I won't be here. I'll be in Florida.
I think that we have to think about a contingency to hire somebody at $60,000 a year who is going to be available. And I don't care if we co-op with Sheboygan or somebody moonlights it off. But don't you want to know who's going to take care of this whole thing for you?
We know.
This,
There's one running it right now.
can I interject for you? I'm sure your company offers a service.
No, they do not.
No.
Well, do you do a maintenance service?
Right now, you're contracted with Mead and Hunt. That's who's doing the service now.
They could continue to,
So
so
they-
people would do phase one?
So they will do phase one.
The board has to determine that.
So, but that will be an added cost, correct?
Oh, yeah. And it's baked into the design,
Okay.
and it's baked into the O&M. And it's all been approved by USDA and our financial advisor, who is Bobby Brzezinski downstate. One of the best firms that's one of the firms the best firm in the state, actually.
In order to get the USDA funding, all that had to be estimated up front.
But I think what Penny's really getting at is what this board has talked about a little bit, but the previous board has talked about a lot. Are we going to have a DPW? How's it going to work? Is it going to be a hybrid with a contractor? How's it going to work? So right now, when Mead and Hunt has a problem, Mackinac City, and they all can help pull those pumps. So, I was in open forum before that Aaron has told us that at a minimum, if we do both phase one and phase two, at a minimum, we will need the equivalent of two additional full-time and one or two additional part-time. Now, include Doug or his crew. That's just what he's saying, because those are the big figures that he baked in. So I think that, if you want to talk, come on up.
I just want to ask what you're talking about. These other two people, is that going to be the whole city or township going to pay? Or is that just going to be strictly the people that's getting the sewers?
whoever gets the sewers has to pay all the freight.
So the sewer people have to pay everything.
If you live outside of the sewer district, you will not be charged for that. You cannot be charged.
But we're not
For that.
creating a DPW at this time.
Yeah, we
We have Mead and Hunt that is doing all the maintenance work and making sure that the chemicals are right and everything's flowing good. And if we need new pumps, they'll tell us. If they can be rebuilt, they tell us, we send it out, we pay the bill. We're depending on Mead and Hunt to let us know, because none of us are experts at running a sewer plant. They run it. They make sure the whole system runs adequately. Am I right, Sally? That's their job. That's what we pay them the big bucks for.
In fact,
We have people that do that already.
right now, the contract for the commercial district is $6,000 a month, for X amount of hookups, plus, any additional, equipment or maintenance costs over and above. Right? If they get called out on an emergency,
They have overtime. or whatever.
it's time and charges above the 6,000. But, we've been very, very happy with Mead and Hunt.
Very responsible company.
Never had, ever since the township switched to Mead and Hunt, we have not had one single violation. Where in the past, 1 month we had, what was it, Sally, 200?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
It's a ridiculous number. It was many.
So that accounting for Mead and Hunt, that money, those charges go just to the people that have sewers.
Right, so if that's what we pay, that quarterly bill that we
And
talked about,
$100 every quarter,
110 or whatever it is,
that covers that
so far, correct.
so far. But we, okay.
But it does go up nominally because of the cost of living. We pay a contract for that. And so therefore, the chemicals, if they go up, we gotta pay more money. It's our chemicals. But the point is, and Beth, this is to answer your question too. You can, by law, you cannot charge people for a service that they're not getting.
A benefit,
If we're not getting the benefit of a sewer system, you cannot charge us for it. So the only people that can be charged for a sewer system is the people who are actually hooked in and getting that benefit. That's a law, you know.
And as I remember last year or something, that the original street up here, they had an increase of 6%
Yes,
for the year. And so we can assume also probably that we will get an increase every year because the cost of living continues to go up.
not
but
just that.
not necessarily 6%, because the more people you have on the system, as you know, the more efficient it becomes. Safety in numbers.
Yeah, so you can order more chemicals in larger quantities and it costs less. that kind of
So at some future point, and that's why I was leading you to your question, at some future point, the community's gonna have to address how they wanna run their sewer system. Is it gonna be a hybrid? Are they gonna establish a DPW? Are they gonna have a sewer authority like some communities have? That you have to be a customer to be on the sewer authority, and that sewer authority sets rates. That's all things in the future that the community is gonna have to decide. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
But one other question just occurred to me is Consumers Power. I'm sure that in the bids that there is some arrangement with Consumers Power, correct? Because I know all our lines down by us are so old, and I'm not sure that they can, without being beat up a little, that they can carry any more energy, but can you help me with that? Yeah.
We don't talk to them. I talked to Jim, the regional engineer for, we don't talk about this. I talked to Jim, the regional engineer from Jim, he's aware of the sewer system that's going in and it's tremendous compromise. But he said they were aware of it and that they have there's a century-old electrical system in this whole phase area. There's transformers on transformers. I think you're all aware of it. And that's why there's a lot of shortage power, with the storm seed. And they're trying to get, it's in process with the consumer's power, and they may be knocking on your door to, help upgrade the electrical to go underground. And that stuff. So that's in the process, but, right now, we experience what, he said maybe 2 or 3 shortages a year in our area, maybe, maybe 2 hours to 2 days.
Yeah, what'd you say, Bob? You were out for 4 days of power?
Yeah, it's like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's an unknown that should be taken care of. And, maybe, if you get consumers power to knock on the door, make some calls to, the representative and all those people.
But when we were out for 4 days, we only, we had no instances because they were out there pumping.
Well, so that was the Main Street stuff, but back here, I know our house was out for 4 days, but we weren't here, but yeah. So,
Well, thank you very much for your questions. It was very interesting, and I'm glad we brought them up because more and more people will be coming in as we get closer and the summer comes. So thank you for your questions, and if you want to meet with him after, that's fine. Beth, did you want
Yeah,
to?
I got a couple.
Hi, John.
First, just average, what is an REU gonna cost? Just an average.
For phase
Just
1 or
one.
phase 2?
Well, we'll work with phase 1, because that's what we're here for.
Yeah, the only figure that we have proposed is $18,372.
So that's your total, the 18,000.
$372. You can pay it over 40 years
Right,
at 2.75%. I think phase 3 is higher,
but phase 2 is gonna be higher than phase 1, I've heard.
we believe.
That
Yeah.
just because
Which
that's the way
I was
the
always
finance
told it was gonna
was.
be the opposite. Okay, my biggest concern is, okay, the roads. You're gonna have all these heavy equipment and they get torn up. So is there gonna be another assessment to repair our roads? Or is that part of
The
the,
cost of replacing the roads is in the contract.
oh, it is in the contract?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, this contract is pretty long and confusing, so I didn't see that.
Tell me about it.
I've been reading that.
It's a significant portion of the cost is replacing the roads.
Is it replacing or repairing?
For all the ones that get torn up, it'll be replaced. And
Completely replaced,
Yes,
okay.
two lifts.
But you still can't give that 18,000 something a firm.
Well, now, hang on, if they're only doing that wide on the road, they're not gonna replace the whole road.
Well, for all those streets that are getting gravity hookup, the road's going away. Because
Yeah,
your
see,
your trench
that's-
has to be 15 to 20 feet wide to
Okay.
safely do it. So
All right,
that's
good to know.
all the gravity sewer roads, they're going away. The pressure sewer areas, there'll be pits at each end of the shot, and then every time there's a hookup for that house, there'll be a pit there, so that stuff gets cut out and replaced with new asphalt, the same asphalt that's going on the
No, I
rest of
get
the
that, I
road.
get that. All right, I just want
Yeah.
to just repeat again. So if a road is torn up, it's going to be within the cost of your REUs or whatever. There's going to be no surprises down the line where the township comes to me and say, hey, we're going to have a special assessment for your road now because it got torn up.
Not that I can
I-
see.
I
Yeah,
will-
well, just so you know, what she's talking about is, everybody has to pay a special assessment, to redo or repair a road. And people are just concerned that if it's not done, oh, now we gotta have the road commission come in and do a whole new road, and it's gonna cost us even more money. So
No,
that's the concern.
Right.
Am I,
And-
am I correct? Did I-
Yeah, I'm not paying for another road. I'm telling you right now because I paid enough.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with my road when you guys start, so I want it the same way when
Yeah.
it's done.
Well,
Sorry.
From what I've seen, most of the roads here aren't in that good condition.
I'm talking my road. So I always can wait for
Which road are you on?
South Africa.
South Avenue,
Okay.
so,
But, yeah, we're using Antrim County road specifications, so they're getting torn out and replaced with brand new Antrim County road spec roads.
all right, and I don't want to take up a lot of time. All right, when I was going over the your gravity was 26, and then the LPS, and the WWTP, and then there was another WWTP. Why is there two different figures? And it actually went up like 3,500,000, whatever, 315,245. Why is there such a big difference?
What figures are you quoting? I just wanted to.
Can I show,
Sure.
you can go on and I'll pull it up on my
Sure,
iPad.
but I think what she's talking
Wastewater
about,
treatment
I
plant.
think the WWTP is the wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah, there's two different figures.
Right.
And
Right,
it went
one,
up, one is like sky high and then,
the,
I mean, they're both high, but
I
they don't
can-
match.
I
We
can,
can answer that.
I can answer that for you. One of them is the surge tank. One is the plant to process everything correctly. And the other one is the additional surge tank of how many thousand? 50,000 gallons, 150,000. 150,000 gallons. That's why there's two figures in there, because the surge tank is paid for by EGLE. And the.
So
sewer-
that's
and the-
not part of our figure?
That's not part of your assessment.
That's not part of our.
No, that's 100% funded by EGLE.
Okay, and then what figure was that? Was that the 45 or 4?
I-
Do you know?
I
You don't
couldn't
know?
tell you.
Okay.
The
I'll
Eagle,
talk
grant-
to you later.
the Eagle grant was 732,000.
Yeah, okay. Questions, step right up. Comments, Stu, fine.
Hello, Dan Spone, just a quick
Hi, Dan.
question, go back to the very beginning.
Uh-huh.
When you said about, the hookup as far as the tanks, I've got a plastic tank. So do I just need to pump that, fill it with sand rather than crush it? Obviously, it's
Yeah,
not.
probably. So you talk to your contractor when he comes in, he'll let you know, that you may want it pulled out, you may want to leave it filled with sand. Most of them are concrete, the
Right.
older ones are.
Right.
You've got evidently a newer one. So
Right.
that might be a different thing that I'm not aware of. But, they did give everybody the opportunity of filling their tank with sand
Okay.
instead of crushing it as well back in the day. So, you'll have to talk to
And
your
that,
contractor.
and that's what I had
when
heard too, but then
Yeah.
earlier I heard it'll have to be crushed and
Well,
inspected.
Yeah, we're assuming that that's
Assuming
it's
steel.
a contract
concrete.
one.
My bad, my
Just,
bad.
no, just wanted to verify.
Sure.
And then as far as special assessment goes, is that transferable in the sale of the house or is that a lien that has to be paid
That-
off?
Actually, that's up to your bank.
Okay. Gotcha. Thanks.
Yes. Anybody else?
Patrick McGinnis. During the May 23rd, 2024 special meeting, a comment was made by a couple board members that when phase 1 and phase 2 of the current sewer project became operational, that 4 to 5 new employees would be needed. Later in that meeting, a comment was made that this board could see the need to have a Department of Public Works created, which would require 15 to 20 employees plus hiring a Class A operator for the sewer plant. It was stated that a Class A operator would cost about $120,000 per year plus benefits. If you figure $30,000 a year for the other employees and you add in the cost of those 25 other new employees, you could be looking at a cost of over $700,000 per year. The question is, who will foot the bill? Will it be the people who use the sewer system or every property owner in Tuscarora Township? And the other question is, why is this cost just now being brought to light? Thank you.
I don't even know how to answer that.
A DPW is something that eventually is gonna have to happen. It does not have to happen this year, it doesn't have to necessarily happen next year. But eventually, down the line, it's gonna have to happen. And so however the board reacts at that time and their decisions will be how it goes. And they will create the DPW that they will create.
Or they may not.
Or they may not choose to create a DPW. We, several members of this board, could foresee one happening sooner or later, but we never said it had to be done now, and we never said that it had to be at this particular cost, because there's other ways to deal with things other than just all those costs. We were throwing out numbers because this is well, this is what a class A operator, you know, goes for. Yeah, if you hire them independently, but if you hire a company like Lead Hunt, you have a contract, and that includes the class A operator, and that includes people that'll help, you know, replace pumps and things like that when that happens. So there's different ways to develop a DPW, and you can do one totally independent, which some communities do, or you can contract it out, and you can go partnership with other communities as well. That's just how the things are gonna roll eventually, but that would be for future boards to decide in the future, okay? Because the system is expanding, and you have to think about the work that has to be done in order to do that. It's just common sense, you know, when you expand something, when you build a bigger school, you're gonna hire more teachers. You know, it happens. And we're adding, how many properties are in this? I forget, 200 in phase 1 and 2 together. How many properties are we talking?
360 or something, somewhere
Yeah,
around there.
360.
You have 360 more families using it. It's gonna expand it considerably. But hopefully the cost of having that many will come down somewhat. Because of, when you're buying chemicals, you're not buying them in the small 10-gallon or 5-gallon size, you're buying them in the 50-gallon size.
Yeah, but his question was, who's gonna pay for it? And by law,
By law, it has
only
to
the
be,
customers. can pay.
only the users that use it by law have to pay for it. That's the way it is. And that's why future boards are going to have this issue, just like we had the issue presented to us of getting it. Future boards are going to have to figure out how to manage it and it won't have to be done right away because
Just
it's
like
gonna be
the
a new
first system.
system.
Just-
Yes,
Just like the first system.
exactly. So it's a future board decision.
So
We're
just
not
for
gonna decide
clarification, when at the May 23rd meeting, when it was stated that at the completion of phase 1 and 2, 4 to 5 new employees would be needed. These employees, if you figure conservatively, $30,000 and say 4 people, that's what, $120,000 added a year. That expense is going to be spread among the people on the sewer system, not the township.
It has to, by
It
law,
has to
Thank
be.
you.
by law.
And a lot of those costs have already been baked in because the USDA would not have approved it without knowing how many people we would
But
have
his
to
point's,
actually
his
run.
point's well taken.
Yes, it is.
That those outside the sewer district cannot by law be charged. So that's a good point, thank you.
And I don't know where the 15 number came from. That's, yeah, it seems like a lot. That would surprise me too.
350 new services isn't huge in that aspect of water and sewer systems
Right.
either. Yeah, relative to that. Thanks, Bob. Tom O'Grandrick, 6430 South Street. Really appreciate all the work you guys did come into this line. It's really, it's exciting to see something that I think is really gonna happen. I think it's great because I think it's gonna clean up the town and it's gonna add property value and it's gonna be great for Indian River. First of all, I think everybody's got to understand that a DPW isn't necessarily a water and sewer department either. The Department of Public Works expands upon, you could have snow plows and all kinds of things that they do beyond water and sewer. So what you would be talking about is a water and sewer department, people that are dedicated to maintaining the plant and the system. My recommendation would be for, probably not for you guys now, but at future boards, is to strongly consider because of the size of the system, which I still don't think is that sizable, is to
It's not.
maintain,
You're right.
maintain a contractual basis, because, having, that many lift stations in the sewer plant, you're gonna have some problems, but I don't think it's gonna be a bevy of problems where you need to have somebody on time. So I think the most cost-effective way to do it would be to contract as much as you can. So that would be for future boards.
Well, I think you're right, and if I was still around, I would be asking for a hybrid, because Boyne City, for example, they can't find an operator. They can't find a Class A operator. So you've got Tammy Gall, who's our operator, but she's a Class A operator for a lot of these systems. you know, it's back in the old days when every radio and television station had to have a first-class licensee. Well, you would have one guy as your licensee for maybe 8, 9, 10, 11 transmitters. It's the same way with this. And I think that's the only way that's affordable. So what you're talking about is a hybrid system, and we actually have a hybrid system now, because when she needs help, then our parks people come in
Which a lot of times parks people are part of your DPW. DPW and parks.
and that's what Barcelona does.
Common to have. Throughout the state, you know, self-contained water and sewer systems, that's what they are. I mean, when people, anywhere you go, people who live all over the state of Michigan know that when you pay your water and sewer bill, that's sustaining the maintenance and the care and the operation of your water and sewer system. And it has to be dedicated just for that at that particular time. But one final thing I just wanted to say, besides thanks to you guys, is a project, even though it's not a huge system, it's a project that of course is gonna be disruptive. And we all have to understand that it's not gonna be pretty for a while.
About 2 years.
Yeah. But, you know, that's the price of progress, and progress to a point where it's not like we're building the Taj Mahal. I mean, we're building something that's for the health of the community, you know, for the betterment of the community. And it's not gonna be easy. I mean, it's gonna be disruption, and there's gonna be things going on. And yeah, we're gonna have to have some patience, but in the end, it's gonna be great. And I appreciate the fact that you guys went through this and got it all set. Thank you.
Anybody else? We have 10 minutes left.
It's getting worse.
Do we have a preliminary schedule? I think it's so exciting that we're at this moment. And do we have any idea about, are we gonna start in the next month, or are we gonna start in the fall?
I'm glad you asked that.
It actually starts at 7 o'clock, and we can't do anything until the board votes.
But they do expect.
They are all gonna vote yes, right?
Well, no. Don't get us involved in that.
Do we have to do a little work before the next meeting?
By the way, while I'm, yes, ma'am.
How can the board vote when we don't have the price? I just, the price is fucking the crap out of the body. You don't have the price, you have an estimate. What you say is.
It's in the board packet.
It's at 18, but you said, but then you say that,
All the prices are in the board packet.
I read them all, but you can't, and you gave a total of 18 something, right?
No.
She's talking about the
18,372.
Yes,
Yeah, that's what our financial advisor is recommending.
Okay,
based on-
but it's not firm. I don't understand how we can vote when we don't have a firm.
It has to be firm. It is firm.
So that's it, but when I asked the other day if there's any other hidden agendas or parties, you said I can't guarantee that. So there's not so.
Yeah, well, but what I was saying is, let's say we're gonna have to dig to put a pump housing in, right? And then we have a bunch of water problems. Talk about contingencies. That's what we're really talking about. We have money set aside for.
There's a contingency set aside, but also the dewatering and I actually did the estimates on this. I took the designs that the other engineers put together, and I sat down like I was a contractor and did the own estimating, and then I padded it, usually at least 10% in all areas to try and make sure that we had it covered. And we've got it overestimated on the water, hopefully, because it's gonna be a very wet project, be a lot of dewatering. But, yeah, the contractor's prices we've got them by units, so if they put in this much pipe or this much dewatering or this much asphalt, tons of asphalt, the unit prices are set by the bids. So, I don't know.
If anybody else has any questions, step up here.
I have a question. When is the phase 2 bids open?
Thursday morning at 10 a.m., we open phase 2 bids.
10 o'clock will be the gravity bid and 10:30 will be the pressure sewer bid.
Yes, sir.
I have a question. Do I submit my written objection?
Wait till 7 o'clock, sir, when we have a public hearing. Okay. If, you don't have to have both, but you can.
Okay.
It's one or the other.
All right.
We'll take them both.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Step right up. We still have 5 minutes. Okay, so we'll adjourn at
You didn't answer my question. When are we gonna start?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
I don't mind talking a little bit about it.
Yeah, go ahead.
If it passes tonight, we're anticipating award, actually getting the contracts, signing all that within the next couple of weeks. So they probably could start sometime in mid to late July.
We got to close on the loan and then we can start, correct?
Yeah, so it's gonna take a little bit of time. The majority of the work's probably gonna get done next summer. The phase 2 contracts, we're allowing them to start September 9th. But I don't know if anybody's gonna really start that late in the season, but we wanted to get them under contract.
And if we pass it, but they will be working on the plant over the weekend, over the winter, correct?
Yeah, the plant's a separate contract. There'll be 5 contracts. Two for the gravity and the pressure in phase 1, gravity and pressure in phase 2, and then the plant, which has both phase 1 and phase 2 money in it. So
How long is this bids good for?
90,
Starting
when they,
Also, yeah,
well, phase 1, that was March 21st or whatever. The bids were good for 90 days. And if it's gonna go over 90, we can ask them to extend it. We've already asked the 2 contractors from phase 1, if they'd be willing to extend those bids, and they are. But we'd have to get it in writing if we think we're gonna go past the 90 days.
And the expansion?
Pardon?
The expansion of the sewer, is that bid good for 90 days?
Yeah, because USDA requires a minimum of a 90-day bid hold. Yeah, we had to bump it up based up from what our normal contracts would be, because they know it takes so long with the loans and they have to get all these closed out.
so folks, when this happens, I just want to wrap this up. But like I said at the last meeting, for those of you that were here, but for those of you that weren't here, and this gentleman touched on it quite a bit, okay, there's going to be a lot of disruption in the neighborhoods. Okay, we're just going to have to work through it as a community. Performance engineering will be out there supervising the project every single day. So, yes, sir.
You mentioned dewatering. What's that look like in a neighborhood where you don't have ditches?
I envision that it's gonna be, they'll have to pump it somewhere where it can drain down. But hopefully it all works out. It's gonna be wet.
The contractor's been here and they figured it out how they want to do that. We may not have that information, but they know how they're going to do that. So.
All right, folks, we got to get ready for our next meeting. I appreciate it. And if you have any questions, you can see them out there.
I've got a couple of questions.
Bob, you want me to step out in another room?
Yeah, out there.
Why don't I got a question for you. The representation for the hearing.
I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong.
You're still doing it.
Okay.
Just don't lean forward.
Okay.
You're fine where you are, just don't lean forward.